What is it that you like about distance learning? A bunch of them responded, and in the overall overwhelming responses were that they are learning. Well, I've seen a lot of changes throughout the years that I've been teaching. And technology, there's new technology every single year. So we are always taking on something else. And we adapted. I adapted with technology. Now it's forcing me to look into different platforms to be able to engage my kids.
Welcome everybody to Visionary Teacher YouTube channel. My name is Seb, and today my guest is Jamie Allen Vaughn. Jamie is 7th and 8th grade teacher, and you teach social studies, right?
Yep.
We will be talking today about different aspects of teaching. I have 5 questions for you. We met on Facebook basically, right? We never met in person, and I just love your optimism, your energy. And I know that you have a lot of achievements as teacher. I found it. So I think it might be a very good idea to actually start with all of your achievements that you have as a teacher.
Yeah, I had to have my husband remind me of what my achievements were, because I don't usually, remember all of this stuff. But I'm in my 19th year of teaching. I actually am qualified to teach both social studies and English language arts. And I have a master's degree in administration and supervision, but I chose not to go into administration. I chose just to continue as a teacher, and instead going into the teacher leadership cadre, which my husband and I went through, to be able to work with teachers, whether they are new or if they are, experienced teachers or teachers who are struggling, but also to build capacity in our schools, to be able to work together with our administration, which I believe I think that's one of my best achievements, because I'm really able to work with teachers who are either looking to improve their craft, or maybe they're struggling with something, and I can work with them to be able to have them come up with better ideas on how they can run their classroom. I have received a few awards. We have a News Channel 4 Teacher of the Month award that I received one time, and the news people came into my classroom, and it was really embarrassing. But also, I also work a lot with National History Day, and I received the National History Day, Middle School National History Day Award, Teacher of the Year award last year. And gosh, I think that's about it, maybe.
It's still a lot. I'm telling you, it's still a lot. And you're a very humble person, and I just love it. I saw this news, specifically the news that you talked about, that news people came to your classroom.
Yeah, there was an award that came from the Aces baseball team here, and it's Shelby Sheehan, who was the one who always comes in. She's a beautiful blonde lady who comes in with her news crew, and I got a little award, and basically it came out of a Facebook post that somebody had done, complimenting me as a teacher, and then other people started to chime in, and somebody sent that information to Shelby Sheehan, and that's just how it happened.
Oh, that's big. That's huge. I think it's very important to appreciate teachers that that put a lot of effort into teaching our kids.
Yeah.
So
it was very much appreciated, really.
In March, April this year, the whole education has changed.
Yes.
For all of us. I mean, for teachers, for kids, and for parents, it all changed. It was upside down, 180 degrees. And what do you think that now that we have remote teaching, what do you think we need to focus on during that remote teaching process?
Well, the focus on now is that it can be done. And I really have a difficult time I don't want to ever fill the minds of students that just because we are teaching or learning distance, teaching distance, that it can't be done, and therefore become an excuse for not following through on assignments and actually learning. Because I think as human beings, we have the ability to learn and adapt in any environment. And I mean, teachers are learning. I know that I'm not a first year teacher, but I feel that I have been challenged. And frankly, I think that teachers need to be challenged. Every year, every 5 years, do something different. And for me, it's been a very welcoming challenge. It was very scary in the spring. And there were a lot of things that I did not agree with how we were allowing students to learn and really not be accountable. I am all about accountability. I'm lucky because I am one of the teachers that gets to use my curriculum to teach my kids. And the fact is that anyone can be able to do it. It's scary, yes, but it's doable. So focusing right now on understanding that learning can be done.
Yeah, that's what really, made me to contact you, because in the Facebook group you said that you love remote teaching and you actually enjoy it, right?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
Wow, nice.
And I understand. I totally understand. The fears and the things that are not so great. And because I've experienced a few things. I mean, we've had some hiccups, but we've overcome them, and we have a great distance learning team for our kids. And we just kind of just roll with the punches, and that's what we've had to do.
So what do you like most about remote teaching?
Well, for me, I teach specifically at one middle school, and I have absorbed students who are distance learning from 3 other middle schools. So I have gotten to know all these kids from these 3 other middle schools, and also, continue to develop my relationship with my kids that I've already had as 6th and 7th graders last year. So I enjoy, just building that relationship with these kids. And I like to help them. And I like to see that sparkle in their eye where, I have been able to tell them and convince them, and believe that they can learn from where they are.
So here's here's an extra question, because you said that you love to build a relationship. And I found out that many teachers actually say that it's very difficult to create this relationship in remote teaching. So what's your opinion about that?
Well, I think sometimes in person, it's hard to build a relationship with the kids. I don't think it's really any different. The kids that did not know me, they were shy, and it took them a little while to come out of their shells. But I actually see these really shy kids who I was like, okay, hey, how are you? Unmute. Are you there? Actually talk and respond to questions, whether it be verbally or in writing. So I really think that it depends. You have to be able to build a relationship in person also. And you can do the same thing online. And I think part of that is reaching out to them, having a conversation with them, and just continuing to let them know that you care.
And do you think that remote teaching is better or worse than brick and mortar school?
When I found out that I was going to interview with you and I got the questions and I knew what my focus was, I actually had a discussion with my kids on Zoom, my 7th and 8th graders today. And I said, you guys, I am interviewing with this gentleman from Los Angeles, and here's how we met. And we are trying, and I really want your input. I want to know what you guys think about distance learning. And granted, we've had about 10 kids who have gone back to in person. That's okay. If they find that it's better for them to be in person, that's great. Who knows if that will work for them? I don't know. But I wanted to know the opinion from my kids too. What is it that you like about distance learning? A bunch of them responded, and in the overall overwhelming responses were that they are learning. Some of the students really enjoy getting to know kids from other schools. So like I use breakout rooms a lot right now. I have my 8th graders working on a World War I project, and it's a carousel project that I made up using an online platform that I just learned how to use. And the kids, and I asked for their feedback. I wanted them to use all the bells and whistles on this platform called Padlet. And they all had a topic for World War I, and they put all the bells and whistles, pictures, whatever it was that they were learning, and then they created 5 higher level questions that they wanted the rest of the students to get out of what they've created. And right now they are going through each breakout room, if you will, or they're not even going through the breakout room. So just clicking on the link of the Padlet, and they're working with kids that they've never worked with before. And so a couple kids said it's that collaboration, that camaraderie, that meeting new friends, and as part of their social, they're getting to know people from other schools, and it did get them out of their comfort zone.
Most of the kids are used to actually this virtual reality, well, maybe not virtual reality, but the internet connection.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we meet new friends on the internet, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and they become friends, and they've never actually met each other, in real life. So
Right.
I think that's also why it's kind of easy for them to adapt to the new situation where we have only remote teaching.
Absolutely. When social media first came out, or at least like really early on versions, I had a candle business, and I was learning about social media, and I met this gal who she lives in Australia, Australia, and we just started chit chatting, typing back and forth to each other, and then video started happening, and we actually at one point, like 5 years down the road, got on Skype. And we are now on Facebook together. So we've spoken to each other. So I feel she wants me to come visit. So this is nothing new for kids for people to get to know people from a distance.
Do you think that technology helps teachers right now? Remote teaching is basically forcing all the teachers to learn about technology. The opinion is also very mixed. There's some negative opinions about it, positive opinions. So what do you think about technology?
Well, I've seen a lot of changes throughout the years that I've been teaching. And technology, there's new technology every single year. So we are always taking on something else. And we adapted. I adapted with technology. Now it's forcing me to look into different platforms to be able to engage my kids. And my kids know that I use them to help me decide whether it's effective or not. So I think one of the biggest things that teachers need to do, even in person, is we need to include kids in on like decisions, and feedback, like what is working, what do you like about this, what do you not like about this. And it's a lot. There's so much to go through. I've been doing all kinds of research on different things that I can implement. But of course you have to kind of just not bite off too much, because it can get really super overwhelming. But the technology, it's fun because I have found myself and my team, I talked to my team about this too, they have found themselves being able to actually troubleshoot themselves. Instead of reaching out to somebody, having to constantly ask people how to fix things, we've had to learn how to troubleshoot and make things work. And it's not going away. The fact of the matter is that technology is there, and we either embrace it or we do not.
And that's my next question. How do you envision education in 10 years? Because you said that it's not going away. It's not going away. Possibly, education is going to change forever. But how do you envision education in 10 years?
Yeah, you mean for the future?
Yes.
I don't think distance learning is going away. Okay, so back in the olden days when I was in college, I actually had my own experience. So way back in the olden days, when I was in college, I remember getting work via correspondence. And so the instructor would mail you, like snail mail you, an envelope with the work that you needed to do. And so you would do the work by hand, right? Because we had no computers, but you could tune in on the television to listen to a lecture that they did on the television. And it was like, and so we were doing it that way. Then computers came along, and I remember being in a women's study class, and we were reading books, and then we would chime in online to the distance. You were learning distance, and then there was asynchronous and synchronous learning going on. And so it was just that early version using the computer. So I think one of the reasons I'm so flexible is that I've been there. I've done the distance learning. So I know that, and I wasn't there's times where I had a hard time learning, like I'm a slow reader. It takes me a while to really absorb things. I need discussion with people. So I was always the one to get the groups together to have conversations to discuss whatever it was we were learning, especially like with political science and things like that. So I think that because of my experience being a student has helped me be able to adapt being a teacher. And so I have spent my time just kind of helping students understand that it does not matter where you are. Don't listen to all the chatter. And I know we all learn a different way, but we also adapt. And so my kids, I think, believe me. And I'm seeing some really great products coming out of the projects that the kids do. Like, for example, and if you don't mind, I'll give you an example.
Of course, yeah.
I give my kids choices. I give my kids choices more now online than I did in person. So my seventh graders had to demonstrate their understanding of the 6 big ideas of the Constitution. They were in, they could choose who they wanted to work with, or they could work alone. So that was the first choice. Then I gave them like 8 choices of the product that they were going to produce. So you could do a comic strip. You could do a video, like it could be in a commercial type, format. You could do, they could do memes. Just so that they could demonstrate to me their understanding of the 6 big ideas and how the Federalists felt about those ideas and how the Anti-Federalists felt that idea about those ideas. And for extra credit, I said, if you can connect it to present day and how like federalism fits into present day, or republicanism, or checks and balances, then I will give you extra credit. So they had all these choices. And they really stepped up to the plate. They really did. And I was so impressed. And they showed up. And that's how I know that these kids, even the shy kids, that's how I know that they are learning.
So just in one phrase, how education is going to look like in 2031 or 2030?
In 2030? Well, I'll be retired, so maybe I hope anyway. But I also would love to be able to be part of coaching. I've been a lead teacher for many years, and so I would love to be a part of that. I really truly think that it's going to be all about online learning and teaching. And even next year, if they will allow me to be the online teacher, I would prefer doing that. Oh, and the kids love the fact that that it's more flexible. Like, we do have a schedule. The kids have to be on Zoom at 9:30 and then 10:30 and then 11:30 and so they go until like 1:15. But they love waking up a little later.
It
like
doesn't.
5 minutes before class. Oh, just get on Zoom. They don't have to like rush and get ready. And this is for teachers too. We don't have to rush
Yeah.
and get ready. But I mean, I get up early anyway, because that's when I do all of my grading and stuff. It's just my most productive time. But I love the fact that I'm not at brick and mortar, corralling all the kids, herding cats and getting them in the classroom and sitting down. And because behavior management is very different. You're not dealing with all of that kind of stuff. Not to say that I don't love that. I love middle school kids, but I really like, it's just a different management style. But I do truly think that we are going to have a lot of teachers teaching online.
And
Yeah.
there's no problem with bullying, bullying at school as well, right?
Right.
Well, there's cyberbullying as well, but the at normal school, I remember when I was a kid, we had it a lot, unfortunately, and now this kind of problem disappeared basically.
Right, it does disappear, and here's how I know. We had a couple situations. We have a team that we make up just for our team, for kids to just chitter chatter, right, and socialize on that team online, Microsoft Teams. There are rules. There's you have to keep your language appropriate. You need to make sure that you're being, and we do teach them that social and emotional piece too. We teach them about being kind to others. Thinking about what you're writing before you actually do it, and that's a huge skill anyway, even for adults.
It is, yeah.
We see that on Facebook all the time. There's just really rude comments and things like that. So we teach the kids what it looks like to be respectful and empathize with other people. If you say something like, so one of our kids, we had a couple of our kids say a couple of inappropriate things recently, and the nice thing is you can mute them out of there. You can mute them. You just mute them. And so we just email the parent and just say, hey, this is what happened. We are muting so-and-so for a week. And then we will, bring them back on. And it works. Here's the other thing. Here's the other weird thing about distance learning is that parents are right there. A lot of times parents are right there. So you're like, they're listening to you. So they're learning too. Sometimes you're like, oh God, I hope I didn't say anything inappropriate myself, but, but it's kind of cool because, they see their kids sitting there and what they're actually learning and what they might be doing. Maybe they're not being productive or whatever. So I think that's something that people need to think about too, is that you're not in a classroom where the parent isn't there. Most of the time the parent is kind of hovering over or whatever. But yeah, you can mute them. And there's, we just have this, and they're not allowed to talk to each other during class. So they can't go on that team and be, doing that. And we see them because we're on the team. So if they're doing that, we just mute them out.
What are your conclusions about the worldwide remote schooling experiment, we can call it, because it's still not very, it's something new for all of us. So we can call it experiment.
I just think that it is so much more flexible. I think that we're going to see a lot more students, being able to, because we have a lot of kids who, wouldn't come to school because they were sick or whatever it is. And I just think that globalization, that connection to other parts of the world, even, I mean, Johnny and family can go to Europe and still Johnny can be on the Zoom and learning. So rather than taking that big history book to Europe and doing all this work and stuff and bringing it back to the teacher, Johnny can still be in Europe on a family trip and still be engaged in learning because we have that capability. And just bottom line is that teachers sort of need to suspend their belief that this can't be done. It just doesn't work for my kids to learn this way. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And we need to make that happen. And I mean, my kids think I'm the weirdest teacher. I'm weird in the classroom. I'm weird
Why?
on Zoom. And and you know what, to be honest, we're all actors and actresses when we're teaching those kids anyway, especially for middle school. I have kids who are already telling me they want to send me a Christmas gift. Thank you so much. You're my favorite teacher. And then of course there's other kids who are probably like, God, this lady is crazy and weird. I don't like her. I don't like the way she teaches. But it's just the same as an in person. And I just think we need to really suspend our preconceived or notion that it can't work.
Yeah, I think that the whole paradigm is going to change, right? The whole approach to
Yes.
education is going to change, and we will see it coming next year, I think.
Yeah, I
Whenever.
like it so much. I want to do it. I want to do it again.
Yeah, well, I'm very curious how things are going to develop, because next year we're going to have vaccine. Supposedly everything is going to go back to normal, but I think many things are not going to change. We will stick with them as we do now. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a very interesting year, 2021. Thank you very much for the interview. I think it's a pure gold for a lot of teachers who might be struggling right now with remote teaching. And if you don't mind, I can leave like your LinkedIn link or any way
Yes.
to contact you if some teachers will have questions to you.
I've had a couple of teachers already send me private messages on Facebook from that post, and I am more than happy to meet with teachers, even on Zoom or whatever. And because I've been gathering resources and platforms that I really like, platforms that I really don't like, and just kind of ideas. I am not an expert by any means. Am I a good teacher? Yes, I believe that I am. I've worked very hard to be able to connect with kids and be able to, teach them well. But I am no expert when it comes to distance learning. But what I have done with it so far, I really believe that it's been effective, and I'm absolutely more than happy to help anyone or discuss. I'm not a know-it-all or anything like that, but I like to discuss and kick around ideas for people to try.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge. And as I said, I will leave the links in the description.
Sure.
And dear viewer, if you enjoyed this video, you can always subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can comment what you think about the whole remote teaching approach. And if you enjoyed this video, you can also share it on social media. So thank you very much for your time, Jamie. Yeah, I hope we're going to have another interview. Maybe in a couple of months, when the situation changes a little bit, we will have even more experiences to share.
That would be great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Bye.